How do I turn my passions into a career or a business? That's a great question, man. And that's how I started becoming an entrepreneur. It was many years ago. I was working at a computer store and I wasn't having a good time. And I was like, there's got to be more to life than this. And I said that like with every job that I had before that as well. I'm like, I'm just trying to find what I really want to do in life. So I looked at my passions, man, and at the time I've been driving these really cool cars. Like I had a bunch of Skylines and Silvias and Rotaries, Supras, Soras, pretty much anything Japanese, JDM guys, you name it, I've had it. And I was in a really cool part of my life where, let me think about what car I had. I was building an S13 Silvia for myself with an RB20 DET, so a turbo R32 Skyline engine put into an S13 Silvia. Um, it was cool, man. A gunmetal grey one, had Advan three-piece wheels. Learned how to paint cars at that time. It did like, oh, gosh, you guys know what cars are like, just projects, man. It's probably why I love, it's part of why I love like the restorative process of helping guys overcome their past trauma and getting out of shape and into shape. It just like kind of bleeds that same mentality across the board when I come to restoring cars, like taking something that's beat up, rusty, broken, people have neglected, beat up on, torn apart, and then you get to pull that love, sweat, time, that blood, sweat, and tears into it, and that financial investment into it, in order to make it, back better than it ever was before. You know, like you can improve that, and that's what I love about cars, bro. So for me, I was working at this job in computer sales, hated it, had a newborn baby on the way, and I sold my car. I'm like, man, I've been just like driving these cars and selling them so I can like just enjoy a whole bunch of different cars. Like I'd had at that point in time like an EG Civic, like the one from Initial D. My first car was a Series 4 FCRX7 Sapphire Blue. I'd had RX7, a couple of RX7s, a SA22C or a FB RX7, depending on where you're from in the world. This is, damn man, I don't even know. So many Skylines and Silvias in that up to that point in time where I'd like decided to make the transition into entrepreneurship, and I decided to go and pursue that endeavor because I wanted to spend more time with my family. And so I was like, I have to like get out of like the 9 to 5 wage slave kind of trap where I'm only going to be like trading my time for money. Instead, I need to be able to exponentially make more money than what I'm trading my time for, so I can spend the most amount of time with my loved ones, my daughter and my partner at the time. So I was like, okay, how can I get through this? And so I started looking for solutions. I was like, well, I've made money like buying and selling the cars that I love anyways, not because I was trying to turn a profit, but just because I buy a car for a good deal and then I would drive it, enjoy it, and then I would sell it for more money. And it wasn't really that complicated. Plus, I just love like blogging about cars. I love talking about my adventures in Japan, and had a whole bunch of lifelong friends that I'd made just through sharing a common interest and passion in cars. And so I really was like, well, I was fortunate enough to be at a point in my life where I had the awareness of, well, that's an idea for a business there, is that like I can take a car that needs work, I can meet a demand in the market, provide a value to that market where there's not really people restoring Japanese cars, or they're not able to source what they want, and then fill that need with the value at the right price point, and then boom, you got a business. And so I started buying and selling and fixing up cars when I was working at this computer shop. And when the time came where I had my daughter and I came back to work one day, and I'd made like, I don't even know, man, like I was coming in to do like a stock take on these computers, and I was just like, I was drained, man. Like I'd just been a dad for like 2 weeks, and I had like people on my ass about me texting my partner at the time on the phone, seeing how she was, because she just given birth, like a week or two prior to that. And I've come back and like making sure she's got the support, and you got this coworker like on my back, like, what are you on your phone at work? And there's no customers in the store. I'm like, I've had enough of this. I just sold my car the night before for like $16,000, made like 10K on it, and I was like, this is not the right path for me. I called her up. I walked out the store. I'm like, hey babe, like listen, I'm gonna have to quit this job. I'm gonna provide for you. We'll find out a way to make it work with the cars full time. And she's like, okay, I trust you. And then so I walked back in the shop, quit my job, and the rest is kind of history, man. That's when I became an entrepreneur. I just had to place that bet on myself and trust myself. And it's been a very interesting journey, man. There's so many different lessons I've learned along the way, but that was really how I got started in working for myself, was finding a need in the market, finding something that I loved, and finding something that I was good at, and providing a value and operating with integrity. And that's how I combined all those things together to create a product that was able to service the market and provide value to it. And so therefore, it was success. And it's the same way I operate with whatever endeavor that I want to go down in my life, man. It's like, if you focus on the value first and what you can bring to someone, like what experience you can give them, operate with integrity in that. Like, you're never trying to cheat people, never trying to cut corners, always trying to do the best job, set the right expectations for what you're doing, so that no one ever feels like they're rubbed the wrong way. Like, just be honest. Like, for example, with car sales and these like 20, 30-year-old Japanese cars, like they all have problems, and people expect that. But if you're trying to mask it up and do things the wrong way, then like things can go wrong. And so you have to be honest and be like, I'll be like, man, everything I know about the car might not be everything that's wrong with the car, but I've done the best that I can with my experience, or I had a mechanic look at it, and I'll be like, this is exactly what's wrong, like down to the scratches in the panel and here and there, things that other people don't see, because I look for that because my name means something to me. And there's been times where I haven't got that right, guys, and I've had to have some difficult conversations with people, or had to make sure that like we could come to a mutual agreement so that things could be amicable going forwards. And people got to do their own due diligence when they're buying a used car and realize that like these old cars sometimes have problems, have repairs, have had things happen to them in the past. But that's just what you get when you buy a used car, you know. So this is like an area of your life where you have to be like, you have to be honest with everything that you do. And if you do that, then people will respect that, and they'll be like, okay, even though there's problems with it, the guy's been honest about it. Therefore, you have more of a position of trust, and you can have a good relationship with the person. And also, guys, you're not trying to rip people off. Like, you're trying to leave enough in there that you're providing so much more value than what the product costs. So you'd be like, for example, in the car business, I would always pay like close to what the person wanted for their car within reason. Like, you obviously got to make a profit on there, but you buy the right cars based upon the problems that can be fixed, and then you take on the risk and the responsibility of fixing those things, and then you make the fixes to the car, and then you sell it for the price of the market, or what the market price actually is for it. So that's how you operate with a consistent customer base, and operate in integrity with what you do. And just be honest, man, and like that word of mouth comes back around to you. The market is too small, and the name is the world is too small for you not to value your name and have self-respect, let alone respecting other people on giving them a crappy product. So think about what value you can provide in the market. Think about what you love to do, practice it, and give it your best, and then learn from the mistakes or bad choices you make as soon as possible, so that it doesn't happen to the next person, or it doesn't happen to the next experience that you have. And that's really how you do it, man. In terms of like, if someone says like, when should I quit my job, that's a conversation between you, your partner, you and God, you and yourself. I don't want to talk about that, because everyone else is like, I've lived a very high risk life. A lot of people are really risk averse. I want to play it way more safe than me, but like, I've done many different calculated risks that I thought that have blown up in my face, and other times been massive success. That's just kind of the way that I'm built. And if you're not built like that, if you're not like risk tolerant, if you're more risk averse, then it's better to be more conservative with that approach, and have that life savings behind you, like, good 3-6 month buffer zone before you go into full-time entrepreneurship as well. Maybe sometimes you need to burn bridges, other times you don't need to burn bridges, so you've got to have that discernment. And I really encourage you to ask God about that kind of thing when it comes to turning your passion into your hobby into a career or something like that, as well as when's the right time to merge them across. But yeah, guys, if you focus on the value, you never have to worry about the money, honestly. So that's why I can come on here and just try and share everything I can about everything I can, so that I can provide the most amount of value to you guys. And if I do that right, then I get reimbursed for it, because I'm providing a value in the marketplace that people want, as raw, honest truth about different failures and how you overcome that, and how you operate with God in every single arena of life, like your faith, your family, your finance, those things that I talk about, whether it's from a position of failure or success or lessons I've overcome and stuff like that. It's like, I can help people with that. I'm sure in one way or another I'll be reimbursed. It might be financially, but oftentimes it's not. And that's the point, man, is that like, you're not going into it with the expectation of making money. The expectation is providing value. And when you focus on that as the expectation of trying to lift someone up through something that you love to do, well, the value really is in the people, and the value is really in their relationships. And that relationship provides a value that can't be bought monetarily. It can't be, like, it has to be earned by the way that you communicate, and the way that you respect someone else, and the way that you respect yourself. And the best thing about that is that pays forever, and you can always count upon other people to help support you no matter what you do, because you focused on the relationship rather than the outcome of the financial income that they provide you, or the financial expectation that you have. And there's not, like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with charging for your service, guys, or anything like that, so please don't get it twisted. But what I am saying is that the value that you place on what you do is so much more important than the outcome that you get. And the value that you provide to someone, if it's a high quality, a high standard, you do everything that you do as if you were serving the Lord, you would do it the right way, right? Because it's for God. So if you treat it like that, and you treat God's children as they are actually his children, just everyone, you operate in a different perspective, not in scarcity. You operate in faith, not in fear. You operate in abundance. You know that this stuff is going to come in at the right time for you when you're ready to look after that blessing. But you have to focus on investing in the long-term path. So you make the decisions based on integrity today, and how God would react to you making this decision today. And yeah, then you just get creative, man. Like, we're made in the image of God, and God is a creator. God is the creator. So like, if we're made in his image, we got to be creative, man. It's like, what do you love to do? And then how can you provide value in that area to someone else who also loves that thing that you love? What's your own unique spin on things, man? Like, don't be a clone. Like, what do you love? How can you make it better? How can you improve it? How can you provide a value? For example, like me in these videos, I'm not always talking to someone who's going through a particular pain point. I'm talking honestly to like the 18-year-old, the 16, the 15-year-old Jack Layfeld. Like, I'm talking to my past self in so many of these videos, like, because I know that if 15-year-old me was trying to find a mentor for these questions, that kind of stuff, it's like, this would be the most valuable thing I could possibly find. It's like someone who's walked through all these things, that have, walked through these struggles, this heartbreak, this adversity, this injury, this financial setback, this moving in at home with your parents and you have a kid, like all these different things that have been like really challenging for me, deaths in the family, single parenthood, businesses rising and then crashing down and rising again and crashing down again, like all these different life experiences. If I had like seen someone who'd liked the stuff that I liked and gone through the path, and then, or like, had like done powerlifting and bodybuilding and been natural throughout, like all these different things that make me uniquely me. If I found someone like that, it's of infinite value, right? Like, I'll pay for that service forever because I'm paying for the experience they've already been through. So that's why it's important, guys, to find out what you love to do, give it everything you've got, because you can come back and then teach other people the same experience as well, right? You can teach what you learned. And yeah, so for me, like talking about, jumping on a camera and sharing my life experience with guys, it's like, yeah, that was one guy, myself, that I'm talking to in the past, but he doesn't exist anymore. He's just a memory. But there might be other young men who are going through the same struggle. Maybe they have a pornography addiction, or maybe they're like going through a breakup in a relationship. They can pull parallels between my life stories and my experiences of overcoming adversity, how I did it differently, and they can then go and apply themselves in their own arena of life, their own struggle, because the principles, guys, they work across the board. And yeah, you can then get really creative, guys, with once you're getting out of your own way with all the sin and all the vices, and kick them to the curb where they belong, push them back to hell where they belong, then you really have that creative energy and belief that you can try and experiment with all these different things, and you have the infinite resource of intelligence from God and the wisdom from him to be able to go and pursue these different endeavors. And if you fail, you can get back up. And that's why I really say, guys, like, the gym is like such a positive and a parallel for life. Like, it's a metaphor for life. Like, what you put in, you get out. You can learn the perseverance and the resilience skills. And that way, like, if you try something, like, okay, I'll just like try it again tomorrow. Like, no big deal if I fail. Like, I'll get back up and try again. Same with business, same with relationships, same across the board, because you train that ability day in, day out. You get me? You're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid to feel that pain. You're not afraid to feel fear. All you know is overcoming it. So that's what also set me up for success when it came to trying out different businesses, whether it be e-commerce or whether it be coaching, or whether it be cars, or whatever the future holds me to, guys. It's the same trainability that you learn in the gym, that you learn through your faith, showing up day in, day out, putting in the reps that build the belief. Everything that I talk about, guys, is always going to come back to a belief, having a strong why, and having faith in Jesus Christ. That's what I stand for, man, is the integrity, belief, character, and faith. That's what it is. And the sooner you can get to understand that is the real lesson behind everything that you do, the sooner you're going to be able to convert whatever it is that you love to do into a vocation, or whatever career, or whatever your path is, man, because it's out there waiting for you if you have the right character to go and steward it, like to look after it correctly. if you don't have the right character and you're trying so hard to chase it without having the right morality, the right heart posture for it, and when you get it, it's going to elude you, or it's going to disappear just as soon as you got it, because you didn't earn it, you didn't know how to look after it. So, and that's where I've learned a lot of lessons in my life, is that I've made quick money in cars, but maybe like I'd had bad addictions, so like, you know, sleeping in or porn or whatever it may be. These are things I had to get out of the way in order for me to continue the sustained success path. Now, the timing of when people fail or when people's character catches up to them is not the same for everyone, man. Like, some people might get to $100 million and then their life falls apart. For me, I'm glad that I learned lessons with I'm very blessed, but a relatively small amount of money that I like had businesses fall apart at, because I was able to learn the lessons of character development before I had more responsibility for more people that would be directly influenced by my spending ability or by my influence in the world. So I'm really grateful that God humbled me and that I was able to humble myself before Him through different life adversities, and also by just, you know, trying to seek God, so that I could have a coachable heart, having a repentant heart, where I realize that like I've made mistakes in my life and I need to clean it up, and I decide to go away from those sins and turn to the positive habits and turn to God. That way I'm able to make sure I'm pursuing the right purpose and the mission for my life in a partnership with God, so I'm able to do it the right way and represent Him the right way, which also means that I'm going to have all the true wealth of life, which is the relationships, guys. And the byproduct of that is financial success, and the byproduct of that person developing within is the external success of like the physique or the relationships and everything else. So it's really an internal relationship first that you focus on, and then it's the practical application of the day in, day out habits and steps which do recycle back into the internal worth of the individual. So that's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, man. I really appreciate you guys' time, mate. I hope this helps you. If I was like, if I was a young fella, man, I would just be like, my advice to a younger Jack Layfer will be like, man, just humble yourself before God, repent of your sins and turn to Christ. And then everything else, when it comes to your business and family and relationships and your fitness, everything else, man, will come together if you genuinely do that first. It's always going to be, I'm always going to point that first, guys. Anyways, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Have a great day.